Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Rewind Show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, welcome. This is a channel where we discuss lots of motorsports, namely NASCAR, ARCA, IndyCar, and Formula One. We do plan to broaden that scope eventually, but for now, that's what we cover. So on today's edition of the Truck Series Recap, we're looking back at last night's 5th annual Villa Lighting delivers the Eaton 200 presented by CK Power from the Gateway Motorsports Park. Man, that was a mouthful. Madison, Illinois, 1.25 mile, kind of egg-shaped oval. It's kind of like a mini Darlington. If you've never seen a track layout for Gateway, it's kind of like a mini Darlington. It kind of has that same look to it. Kind of drives somewhat similar, not completely similar. Darlington, you stay right up against the wall. That's mainly the preferred groove. Gateway, you're more on the bottom or in the middle. The middle seemed to be more of a preferred groove last night over the bottom, depending on where we were in the race. Lots of stuff happening in this race, though. While Gateway may be over a mile track, it does kind of drive like a short track a little bit. And this race kind of a little bit reminded you of a short track race. 9 cautions in this race for 53 laps. First one coming lap 24 when Jordan Anderson had problems and stopped on the track in turn number 2. Got it refired though. And then the next one would be the caution that would end stage 1. It actually happened for an accident, though, a couple laps before the end of the stage, lap 34, as Dalton Sargent had an issue, and that would be the end of stage 1. It would end under caution. Stage 1 winner being Grant Enfinger from the pole. Second stage, lap 67, was your first caution when Matt Crafton had a problem, and he stopped on the track as well. That's the second caution already, and we're just now to the end of stage 2 for 2 trucks already stopping on the track. So not often you see cautions for that, and we've already had 2. But that would end up being the stage 2 ending caution as well, as this happened just a couple laps before the end of that stage. Again, stage 2 ending under caution. Christian Eckes picking up the win in this stage. Congratulations to Christian Eckes. He's someone we've had on Racing News Now here a few times for his ARCA adventures. Nice to see him getting some success on the truck side in only his second start. He was very fast last night. Unfortunately, just a couple laps into stage 2, lap 78, that would be the end of Christian Eckes' success for the night as he gets turned by the 52 of Stuart Friesen in turn number 2. That would be the 4th caution on the night, lap 78, and that would be the end of the night for Christian Eckes. Lap 99, about 20 laps later, Stuart Friesen would get in another wreck, this time damaging his truck pretty badly. He comes off turn 2 side by side with Johnny Sauter, and kind of just comes down a little further than I think he meant to. I think he thought he was clear of Johnny Sauter and ends up turning himself off of the nose of the 21 truck. That would be the end of the competitive night for Stuart Friesen. He still was able to salvage a decent finish, as we'll see here in a couple of minutes, but not the night I think he was looking for. Next caution, lap 115. Justin Fontaine spins in turn number 1 in some oil from another truck that had just blown an engine. And then Tate Fogelman in the 20 slides right into Justin Fontaine. Couldn't really do anything as he was sliding through the oil himself. And this would end up setting up a red flag for almost 13 minutes as they cleaned everything up. Cleaned up the oil, cleaned up the mess between the 45 and the 20 truck. Then we get back racing. A few laps later, lap 134, we have another caution as Todd Gilliland and Brett Moffitt get together in turn number 1. Moffitt spins into the outside wall, and that would send Brett Moffitt way back in the pack, but that would not be the end of the competitive night for Brett Moffitt. Even though he backed it into the wall, he would be back later. Lap 150, caution for debris on the backstretch. You don't see a lot of debris cautions anymore. I don't know if that's because people complained about so many debris cautions or if that's just because there's not as many debris cautions now, but you don't see those a lot anymore. Lap 155, final caution of the night, just before the end of the race for debris and for Ben Rhodes stopping on the track. Ben Rhodes had a very up and down night, spent most of the night not on the lead lap, comes back running in the top 5, and then he has these issues at the end. Not the finish he was looking for, as we'll see here in a few moments with the results. 7 lead changes on the night among 7 drivers. Your highest lap total leader would be Noah Gragson, led 63 laps on the night. Grant Enfinger also led 36, all of those coming early before he had problems late. Christian Eckes led 34 laps on the night. Not looking at the right line here. 18 laps were led by Brett Moffitt, as well as Justin Haley leading 7, and 1 lap apiece went to Todd Gilliland and John Hunter Nemechek. Alright, so let's get into the results now, and as you will see here, Justin Haley picks up his first career Camping World Truck Series victory. Congratulations to Justin Haley, well deserved. The kid's got a lot of talent, finally able to pick up that first victory. Survived those last 2 late cautions there within the final 10 laps, and was able to pull it off. It was not easy. Had a couple of chances to give it up and didn't give it up. So congratulations to Justin Haley. Well-deserved victory in Gateway. Todd Gilliland, oh so close to his first victory as well. Comes home in the 2nd position. A good points night for him nonetheless, though. We've talked about him being in championship contention, able to make the playoffs, but he is a good ways down since he missed a few races because of his age at the beginning of the season. Running that well, he just might make the playoffs. Rest of your top 5 were Johnny Sauter, Myatt Snyder, and Zane Smith with a great top 5 finish in his first career Truck Series start. He's another one we've talked a few times on here. After ARCA Racing Series victories, so good to see Zane having some success as well in that DGR Crosley truck. Rest of your top 10, Chad Finley making his first start in a long time in the Truck Series with a great 6th place finish. Jesse Little picks up another top 10 in 7th. Riley Herbst, another strong run for one of our ARCA guys we've been following. He comes home in the 8th position in his first career Truck Series start. Cody Coughlin and Noah Gragson rounded out the top 10. As we look down here 11th through 20th, we'll see Stuart Friesen here in 13th. He rebounded fairly well for backing it into the inside wall on the backstretch after his incident with Johnny Sauter. 13th is not so bad when you saw how bad that truck was damaged. It could have been a lot worse for him, although it could have been a lot better had that incident not happened. Brett Moffitt in 14th. We mentioned him earlier. He had that spin in turn number 1 for the caution on lap 134. Comes into the pits, gets it repaired, still had speed in the truck, got it all the way up to, I believe, 3rd, and then spins it again in turn number 1 on the final restart. No caution for that one, though, and that would be the end of it for Brett Moffitt. Very unfortunate, though, because he had a really fast truck, and he had such a good run going, and you hate to see that for Brett Moffitt, knowing the kind of sponsorship situation they're in. They don't know if they're going to be in Chicago on Friday. They don't have sponsorship for that race, which is a real shame, because that is a very good truck, a very good driver. They are definite championship contenders, and the fact that they legitimately may not be competing for the full season because they don't have sponsorship is a crying shame. I really hope somebody gets on that truck, but from what I hear, they were still working the phone lines trying to get sponsors even right before the race last night. So it's not that they have given up on it. They are really trying to find some sponsorship. I hope they can do it, because I want to see Brett Moffitt in the rest of the season, because I think he legitimately could be in that championship 4 at Homestead if he's able to run the rest of the season. Ben Rhodes there, we chronicled his night, like we said, not on the lead lap for most of the night, then comes back in the top 5, has his problems very late. 19th was where he would end up after his electrical issues at the end. Matt Crafton also, we talked about him. Another electrical issue for a ThorSport truck. Seemed to be the theme of the night for those ThorSport trucks. Not really sure what their deal was. 20th for Matt Crafton. Then as we look 21st through 30th, we see another ThorSport truck here in 21st, Grant Infinger. 2 flat tires late in the race, very close to each other. Had a flat tire. Actually, that debris caution on the backstretch at lap 150 was for Grant Infinger. All the debris coming off of his tire, his left rear tire that he had blown. Comes down, gets that changed, and then a couple laps later has another flat tire, and it's the left rear again. So I don't know what the issue there was, but not the end to the night that Grant Infinger was looking for. John Hunter Nemechek had an oil leak around lap 113, 25th on the night for John Hunter Nemechek. Christian Eckes, we talked about his issue there right at the beginning of the final stage. 28th on the night for Christian Eckes. Definitely could have been a much better night for Christian. And 30th, we see here Dalton Sargent. We talked about his problems very early. Only made 31 laps in this one before being taken out in that wreck at the end of stage 1. And then we see here 31st through 32nd, your final trucks in the field, Bryant Barnhill and Joe Nemechek. So that's your results on the night. Again, we don't have video for this race. It seems to me, what I think I'm figuring out is, if the Xfinity and trucks are not at a companion weekend with the Cup Series, there's no video. But there is audio. I don't know why that is. I don't know if they only send one video crew per weekend and the video crew takes priority on the Cup stuff. I'm assuming it's something to do with that. But anyway, we'll get in here. We got audio from Justin Haley from the Media Center following his first career victory in Gateway.
No, and it's probably not going to. A phenomenal night by all the guys at GMS Racing. It's pretty cool to get your first win. I've dreamt of this my whole life, and Kevin had great strategy, and Keith, my spotter here, he cleared me all night really well. So really good run.
Always good to see a driver excited after his first career victory. All right, so we'll take a look at the playoff grid following Gateway before wrapping up here tonight. And as you'll see, not a whole lot of changes here. Obviously, Justin Haley, the biggest jump of the week as he jumps up there with the winners. 4 drivers now with wins locked into the playoffs as we get ever closer to the playoffs. Stuart Friesen drops a couple spots after his night, and Matt Craft and Ben Rhodes obviously dropping down 1 apiece as Justin Haley jumps up there. Cody Coughlin up to 10th now. He's just a little bit closer to that playoff grid now as he takes that spot from Dalton Sargent, who we already talked about his issues on the night, finishing in 30th. Cutoff line staying right about where it was, though. Last week we had a 31-point gap, 8th to 9th. Now we have a 29-point gap, 8th to 9th. Even with Myatt Snyder's good night and Ben Rhodes' not so good night, not a huge change here in the cutoff line. And the funny thing we have here, we have 4 ThorSport trucks here, all right here 5th to 9th. Infinger in 5th, and then you got Craft and Rhodes and Snyder 7th, 8th, and 9th. So it's going to be interesting as we go forward because at least one of these ThorSport trucks more than likely will not make the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see which ones actually do, and it may even be 2 ThorSport trucks that don't make the playoffs if Todd Gilliland gets a win, which I'm really starting to think he's going to get a win before the playoffs. So this playoff grid we have right now, not necessarily going to look anything close to the same when we get to playoff time. So that'll be fun to find out as we watch down the stretch here. All right, so that I think will do it tonight for us for the Camping World Truck Series Rewind Show. Later tonight, we will have a Cup Series Rewind Show for the race in Sonoma coming up here in a little bit, as well as pole position, as always, Monday night at 8 o'clock, so you want to check in for those. So if you haven't done it already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications, and hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video. It is much appreciated when you do. So with that, this has been the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.